Hi, friends. It's Thursday. Hope everyone's hanging in there. I hope y'all are doing okay. Hi. Today, the topic is the world a dream? And the short answer is yes. From a lot of people I've talked to in my own experience, the long answer I'll go into, it's just an interesting concept. So I've been thinking about this because, you know, um, when the last few weeks, especially around my birthday weekend, like a couple weeks ago, I noticed that I was saying things and then they would start happening. And so this is what it looks like when you start to live within the dream in an active way. I think, the more you come into your soul center, the more things you focus on, and this happens anyway, even if you're not like that in that much alignment, but what you think about and focus on and speak about starts to be made real in your reality. And that's what got me thinking about this. And I'll just tell you the example. For example, on my birthday weekend, I was having a party and I was at the grocery store and I was looking for a cake. Yes, I bought my own birthday cake, but then some other people gave me cake. I was at the grocery store and I said, I think I like chocolate cake. And it was on Saturday afternoon that I said that. I got a chocolate cake for my party. And by the end of the next day, I had four chocolate cakes. Some other people, like a friend, thank you, made me one. Someone else made me chocolate muffins. And then someone else. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just said I like chocolate cake into whatever at the store to myself. And then I had four chocolate cakes within like almost about 24 hours. So that's a very silly and small example of how what you start to think and speak about can happen in your life. I've had that happen other times when I think about it, but I don't think I'm very mindful about what I'm thinking about. So let's just talk about the world as a dream concept in depth, a little more in depth from my experience. So I first heard of that concept. You might have heard when I went to that shaman's office when I told him I had seen a light and I thought I was schizophrenic. I've said this in a lot of videos because it really stuck with me. He said, "We're all schizophrenic. The whole world is a dream." And I just remember looking at him, rolling my eyes like, this guy's nuts. Like, what are you talking about? The world's a dream. I'm in graduate school and I saw a light. I was technically the one who was nuts, honestly, at the time. But yeah, so that was the first time I ever heard that concept of the world being a dream. And it didn't make any sense to me. But I think now that I look back and think about it and ponder, I had pierced beyond the veil. I saw beyond the dream in my spiritual experience for 2 years. And it was pretty amazing to think about who was aware of that, like beyond the veil dream, and who is just living in the human dream that doesn't look outside of what's around them. I think when you align with love, truth, joy, God, creator, you can start to kind of live a waking dream. And it's really fun to think about. So, but I guess it kind of comes close to manifesting, but it is more just like when you're living in alignment with your soul, you you can start to speak things and they start happening. At least that's happened to me the last little while. And I'm like, gosh, I need to really think about what I'm thinking and speaking about a lot because it was that chocolate cake thing was really wild. I've had that happen other times. It's just it's a few other things like that have been happening lately that I won't go like all the details, but it's just really interesting to think. Have y'all noticed that? Have you noticed if you start to think about something, it starts to show up in your life a bunch? So I think the point of this idea that the world is a dream, is that you can create a different dream. I'm not talking, I think as soon as I start to think about this, I think about people suffering, people going through trauma, all the stuff going on in our world. And I don't know about all of those answers. I don't think if you would have told me when I was going through my trauma and traumatic period that this was a dream and I should be okay. Like, I don't think that's not the time to think about that but I think if you're listening to this and you're creating a world in your life, um, the idea that the world is a dream and that you can create a different dream. You can kind of choose the framework of your dream and choose what you want to experience and be and learn about. And so, for the last few weeks, I think I mentioned, and maybe a lot of us, I've been dipping into these fearful spaces, like in my heart. I I don't think it's just me. I think it's collective, but it's also me because we're all connected. And so I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't want to dream a fearful dream. I want to have like a joyful life. I want to have a life that's um, connected and of service. And well, I already do that. Sorry, I do that all the time. Sorry, just kidding. But just living, and so I'm trying to be more intentional about where my thoughts take me. Am I worrying, or am I just going to choose to live a dream where people are nice? Um, People mean to do the best. And I know in a way sometimes it seems like it's denial, like you're denying, but there is just like we are all out picturing our realities. Now I can't say the collective reality. I think that's a bunch of people at once that have to change. But as someone who lived in a place of real sadness, depression, and like suicidal ideation and all this other stuff, I don't want to live there anymore. I healed a bunch, so I want to live a joyful, happy life, and that's connected to love. And so I'm just focusing on making that like the baseline of my dream, and then thinking about things from there. Uh, One example of this is two things from my friends. So there's a woman named Brie Lafferty. I don't know if you've heard of her. She had a really cool NDE. And she talked about how while she was in her near-death experience, she would start thinking something and immediately it would happen. And I don't even remember. It's like she became a snowman and then the snowman caught on fire, but it's because she was wondering what would happen. It was like really cute. I don't know if she told this in like a small group session. So I don't know if I'll link her NDE, but I don't know if it's in there. But so it's kind of like that. It just happens a lot faster in the spiritual world. They say like as soon as you think of something, you're there. But in the physical, there's a delay. But I just think the more you get in alignment with your soul, the less delay there is. Like my chocolate cake example. um, and then also Betty, when we were talking, when she woke up from like in her near death experience, she woke up and she couldn't remember anything about her life. She was like, that was a really weird dream I was having. She could only remember that her parents had passed away and she couldn't remember anything else about her entire life. And she was 35. So I think it's a good example of like, we are dreaming a dream. And you can dream a better dream. You can choose some things you want to experience in your dream. Chocolate cake, just kidding. Okay, that's just the most recent example. It's happened other times though, and it happened, and I think it's just good to be intentional about what you want to experience and what you want to create. Um, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this. I do now believe that the world is a dream. And I saw Beyond the Veil, and I'm really hoping more and more of us are going to see Beyond the Veil. Um, and then create a more beautiful dream. Because right now, a lot of people aren't really dreaming like this great dream. I think we're dreaming like a kind of crazy dream. But we can actually realize that we're creating this and make something a lot better. Um, like chocolate cake. I'm kidding. Okay, I do like other kinds of cake, but it just was a really big example of like, oh gosh. So other examples of this in my life recently. Okay, I wasn't going to say this. But I remember a video a while ago. I was like, I should probably date a Jewish guy. Maybe that would be good. And then I met a Jewish guy. Okay, that's small. I was thinking about I have my job in the schools, and I was looking at my budgeting like last year, and I said, I think I need to make this amount of money every month. And I just like put it out there, and then I got a job that paid that much, which was wild. Like almost right away. I didn't even apply for it. I got an email for it. Other things like the one time when I was going to Boulder with a friend who was visiting, I said, look, just watch. I don't know if it's real or not, but let's just say when we go to Boulder, we're going to see some cats. Because it's like, of course you want to think about manifesting some big beach house or something, but I've never done that. I've just done like cats, cake. Um, anyway, I was like, let's see what happens if we just say, let's see some cats in Boulder, like just put it in there. And then we got to Boulder and we were in a bookstore and we were leaving the bookstore, and the guy behind the counter said, wait, hold on. And he just handed me a pile of 8 stickers and said, I've just been really into cats lately. And it was like 8 cat stickers. Like, that's crazy. So I think you can just notice, like, fine tune your antenna, fine tune what you're thinking about. honestly, whenever people are like, "What do you wanna manifest?" The first thing I wanna manifest is, like, feeling all of that light forever all the time because it's the best, and all of that love, but besides that, I think you can think about other things you just want to experience. I'm not an expert at manifesting, I think that's part of, like, living in a dream, is that you're creating it with what you think about, what you focus on, and the energy you're inhabiting. So this is another invitation to heal and try to bring more love into your life and love into your sphere so you can feel really good and have a dream where you're happy and joyful and content. Let me think if there's anything else. Oh, yeah. I mean, Betty talks about I don't mean to just make this whole video I just about Betty, but, like, there's a, um there's, like, the allegory of the cave, which I think is technically about education and rational thinking, but the allegory of the cave is the story from Plato, Socrates, where people are sitting in a cave and all they can see in the cave is the shadows that are projected, and they think the shadows are the real world. But and if someone comes in and says, "Actually, you guys, this whole world is out there. These are just the shadows that you're looking at," and they don't believe him, and they want to stay in the cave. And so, when people like me or other near-death experiencers have moments where we've seen beyond the veil or we've seen outside the cave, we come back and hopefully everyone's just going to get up and walk out of the cave or at least realize we're creating it. I think that would be great. Um, and I think it's happening. I mean, I keep meeting more people that have had spiritual experiences or at least interested in them and like looking for their truth and exploring. And I think that's really awesome. Um, okay, there was one more thing. I've been thinking of a couple things and then I'll be done. Yay. You know, in 2023, I heard an interview with my friend Vinny Tolman where he talked about the end of 2025 would be a veil of fear over society. That's much worse than COVID. And I that's why like all this stuff that's going on, I was like, oh yeah, this is just what Vinny talked about in that interview. I don't always want to link those because I feel like it creates a lot of fear and the future is not set in stone. But he did say that, and I've known about it for several years that that where we are right now was going to start happening. Um, so thanks to Vinny, he's got such a beautiful heart. And then the last thing I wanted to give a shout out to all of y'all. Thanks for being here, but especially my therapist clients and friends, like therapists and psychologists. It's been such an amazing gift to get to work with you all. It's like a huge full circle for me, and I just wanted to give a shout out to how awesome there are some really awesome therapists out there, and I wish I'd known y'all 20 years ago. But I think it's really neat to get to see just the way that our society is kind of shifting and embracing these kind of spiritual experiences. Um, but through like a balanced, intelligent, thoughtful lens. I think it's so worthwhile and so beautiful what y'all are doing. So yay for the therapist. And all of y'all, everyone else too. And I hope y'all have a good day and I'll see you on Sunday. And thank you so much for being part of this. I'll put all the different links I mentioned, I'll put in the description. I would love to hear, do you think the world is a dream? Are you creating a beautiful dream? Do you like the dream that you're dreaming? I think we can take steps to make better dreams for ourselves, which would lead to better dreams for our world. Okay, bye.